ready to ignite. Untold stories in the airways, flying through the night. Experience voices, tales so bold. Streaming live, the truth unfolds. Untold Radio Network, where secrets come alive. New episodes daily, the mysteries thrive. Great guests, super chat, it's so I remember right. Share and subscribe, join the side where truth can't hide. Aliens in the attic, UFOs in the sky. Cryptids lurking, oh my, oh my. Ghosts in the hallway, whispering your name. The paranormal, the unexplained. Become a VIP, get the inside scoop. Unlock the mysteries, be part of the group. Live streaming stories, they're talking to you. Super chats buzzing, join the crew. Untold Radio Network, where secrets come alive. New episodes daily, the mysteries thrive. Great guests, super chat, it's a wild member ride. Share and subscribe, join the side where truth can hide. So if you've got the guts and you want to explore, tune into the Untold, it's what you're looking for. From aliens to ghosts and all that's unseen. Untold Radio Network, where the world's mysteries convene.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Paranormal Spectrum here on the Untold Radio Network. I am your host, Barnaby Jones from Cryptids, Anomalies, and the Paranormal Society. We are live in studio today, so if you guys have questions or comments throughout the show for my guest, throw them in the comments section, and we will get to them as soon as possible. It is the holiday season, and if you guys want to show your support for all things cryptids, anomalies, and the Paranormal Society, and buy your special somebody a shirt, t-shirt, hat, I don't care, tote bag, sticker, mug, anything with our graphics, logos, and cool designs on it, you can head on over to wisconsincaps.com, click on the Shop Our Store button, or tpublic.com/user/Wisconsin Caps. They are all on sale now for the holidays, including our brand new holiday design, our Caps Ugly Sweater featuring the Caps logo, Bigfoot, ghosts, little lake monsters, and UFOs, and all kinds of fun holiday and spooky stuff. So you can get that design available now on sale at our Shop Our Store. Coming up, guys, we also have our feature-length documentary, The Hairy Man of Dairyland, Wisconsin's Bigfoot, is available to watch on our Patreon Plus account. It is Wisconsin Caps on Patreon. You can get the link for that and some cool information on our website by clicking on the Wisconsin Hairy Man of Dairyland link. Coming up this weekend, it is freezing cold, but we are supposed to be down in Milwaukee, Wisconsin for Krampus Fest. It is this Sunday in the Brewery District. As far as I know, still going, not canceled. I know a couple events in Oshkosh, Wisconsin and stuff. The parade got canceled and stuff because of the cold. But as far as I know, we are still on for this. There's a Krampus parade outside in the freezing cold, and 2 buildings of vendors, live music, bands and stuff in some of the different buildings down there. It's a whole couple city blocks worth of events and that. Brave the cold, come on out and check it out. It's always a great time. Coming up next year, we are going to start off with the Contact Modalities Expo May 1st through the 3rd in Delavan, Wisconsin. 3 full days. Myself and as well as Dean Bertram from the Untold Radio Network are going to be there, and tons of other great guests. But my guest today will tell you more about that in just a little bit. And then we head down to Fond du Lac, Wisconsin for Cryptids, Anomalies, and Paranormal Convention Saturday, May 9th. Tickets on sale January 1st, as well as our more guest announcements for that. Saturday, June 13th, we are at the Chicago Paranormal Convention in Countryside, Illinois. And way out in the future, we are headed to one of the 3 UFO capitals of Wisconsin in Belleville, Wisconsin for the Belleville Public Library presentation in October. Woo! Starting to fill up the calendar here. So if you guys want me at an event, contact me before the dates are full. But we're gonna march on with the show today with our guest. My guest today, as I said at the beginning, is Melissa Cain. She is the founder of the Contact Modalities Expo. She is a consciousness explorer and an event visionary, a Southside Chicago native and retired media salesperson. Melissa experienced a spontaneous awakening at the age of 45 that completely changed her life. What began as a curiosity about extraterrestrial contact soon evolved into a deep exploration of consciousness and human potential. Seeking to share the profound shift she'd experienced, Melissa, her amazing supportive husband, John, and 3 kids relocated to north central Wisconsin, where she began hosting intimate lakeside retreats at a historic resort she owns in the Northwoods. Gatherings devoted to awakening, healing, and connection. As her popularity grew, so did her vision to make these experiences accessible to more people. That vision became the Contact Modalities Expo, a groundbreaking, heart-centered annual event at Lake Lawn Resort in Delavan, Wisconsin. The expo unites brilliant minds and experiential teachers, exploring how science and spirit converge through modalities such as meditation, remote viewing, UFO research, sound therapy, quantum hypnosis, psychedelics, and more. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Melissa Cain. Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Barnaby. I'm so excited.
You have one of those wonderful bios that makes me stop and have tongue twisters the whole time. So,
I was just thinking, I'm like, wow, that sounds so fancy.
I've gotten pretty good at reading these things, and I've had enough people on and done enough of this that most of those words did roll off the tongue, surprisingly, and I thought they weren't gonna, but we made it through it, and we are here now. So
you did a great job.
One of my most supportive people in the comments there, Lee Warner, you may or may not know, does a whole bunch of these events and stuff as well. And she has a drinking game. And whenever I mess up words, she says drink in the comments. So hopefully.
Ooh, I'm down for that.
I don't know if she's watching yet today, but
yeah, it's still a little early, but not in Wisconsin time. Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, she's usually on here. So there's no drinking in the comments yet, so she must not have noticed my misses. So there you go.
Awesome.
Well, let us start off with the Contact Modalities Expo, and we'll come back to you. And so I've said many times on the show, there are too many names on this list to read out each and every week. So why don't we let's kind of go through a couple of the most notable ones here, like what do we got coming? I know we have Dean Bertram from the Untold Radio. If people listen to the other shows on the network, you'll be familiar with him. Zach Screedy, who has also been on my show, Jack Chavez, who has been on the show. He runs the Chicago Paranormal Convention. Who else we got here?
Well, our event started, last year was our inaugural year. And the people that are like our local awesome investigators and researchers. But our headliner last year and also coming up in 2026 is Chris Bledsoe. So he's the first name on the list. And for those who have not heard of Chris, there he is right there up in the left corner. Basically, in a nutshell, his story started in 2007 with he and his son, Chris Jr., who's also appearing. And Chris Jr. is just now coming out and talking and like facing the public with this story. But they had a remarkable experience where they had a huge craft, multiple crafts. They were camping in the woods. There was hours of lost time. They saw little humanoid beings, little 2-foot tall beings. And since that event, and there were witnesses too, they were with others camping. Since that event, Chris has had like every contact modality. Chris has probably experienced it. But one of the most notable ones was his visitation and continued visitations by who he calls the lady, who is basically like a beautiful apparition of a woman who set him on this mission, to write his book called UFO of God, which is a bestseller. And really what he's trying to do is, tell the world there is nothing to fear, give them the truth about our true reality. And he literally can go outside. And he doesn't like the word summon, but I don't know. I guess call is the other word I could use. He can call a UFO in and one will appear right before your eyes. If it's just you and him, if you're on a beach with 300 people, etc. They show up, big, beautiful, gorgeous orbs, and they'll show up multiple times. And they usually show up for him within about, a minute of him being outside. And all he does is say a little prayer. He calls them angels. So he doesn't think that they're ETs, although he knows, he absolutely says, I don't know for sure what they are. But from all of his experiences and what he's been told over the decades is that they're angels. So he's making the tours now. He's very entrenched with the government. The government has been studying him for years and years and years, as has the Vatican and a lot of very important people. And lately he's been, hanging out with Sammy Hagar and Kesha and Margot Robbie and all of these celebrities that are like, I can't even believe this man can do it. So he goes and visits them. They go outside at night and the orbs come. So he's our headliner. So he'll be back in 2026. And we have so many different types. Who do you want to hear about next?
Well, we've talked UFOs. What do you got for like spirituality and paranormal and that?
Okay. Well, you, my friend, are covering paranormal for me. So
me?
Yeah.
I am talking cryptids.
Well, yeah, you're talking specifically cryptids, but then you also are doing the paranormal workshop.
Correct.
About the instruments and the cool stuff that
Correct.
you guys
Yes.
use. So,
Yep.
Anyway, okay. So so Dr. Diane Hennessy is also coming. And she's been around for a very long time, but recently she's very well known for her work with the telepathy tapes. So the telepathy tapes is a podcast that focuses on autistic, nonverbal kids. And what's been found, and I'm not going to spoil it, is it's been discovered and studied by Dr. Diane that they have been speaking telepathically, not only to each other, but to their parents, to their teachers, and also kids across the world that they've never met in real life. Okay. It's literally amazing. And Diane has been working with these individuals for a very long time. So she's going to come and, tell us of her studies and all of the experiences that she's gathered up over the years in studying this phenomena. Adam Curry, he's a consciousness researcher. I saw him speak live for the first time, and I think it was 2019 at Paula Harris's Star Wars convention. He focuses on consciousness technology. So his stuff is so over my head that you really have to listen to him speak, because it's amazing the things that he and his people are creating that tap into consciousness. It's mind blowing. And pretty much miraculous. Sarah Bressman Cosme, she's written several books. What she does is quantum hypnosis. Have you heard of that?
Mhm.
It's regression hypnosis. It's called QHHT, and it was developed by Dolores Cannon. And basically what she does is she'll take people, into a hypnotic session where she will do, hypnosis therapy. And what ends up happening is, the old days, they go back into their past and you could heal them of whatever trauma or things that they're going through. But what's happened with Dolores Cannon and now Sarah Bressman Cosme, Deb Shakti also does a form of quantum hypnosis, is beings will come out and speak through the subject who's hypnotized. And sometimes these beings are ascended masters like Jesus, Buddha, or sometimes they're just other types, or it's the higher self of that particular person. And they just drop these just massive words of wisdom about our true reality. So she's got books about Atlantis, about Avalon, you name it, just stuff that it's really mind-blowing. Shall I go on?
Kind of like channeling, only through hypnosis.
It's exactly what it is. It is. And what's interesting about it is when these people are going through these sessions, their voices will change, their demeanor will change. They'll use words that, they would never even think of, it's like if Jesus started talking through you. So it's really, really remarkable. And she's just got hours upon hours upon hours. They're all recorded. And then she just transcribed them pretty much word for word into these books. And they're fascinating.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, we have a whole list of people here, and as I said, there's so many to talk about. We could do the whole rest of the hour on each of these guys. But I asked you before the show if you can get in contact with some of these people to have them on our show and reach out to them, because there's obviously a ton of contact people in that. But to come on here, and so hopefully we get a few of these guys to come on here and share some stuff with you guys and help promote the event as well. But tickets are on sale now. I believe that you have advanced tickets discount right now.
Yep. Right now we have the early bird discount, which expires on December 31st. They're $290 for a 3-day pass. One thing that makes our event very different from some of the other conventions out there it's very experiential. So while we certainly have a lot of lectures happening on the main stage and then our second stage, we really take a lot of time to add a lot of different experiences where people can actually sample a lot of these different modalities and see which one resonates for them. And using these techniques that are learned, they can actually transform their lives for the better.
Very cool. Very cool. Awesome. And we'll come back to that at the end of the show again to remind everyone, and the link is in the show notes for that, as well as on the CAPS public events page and everything, so you can check that out if you're interested in coming out and seeing all of us. So hopefully Dean Bertram promotes it as well. Have you gotten on Dean's show?
Not yet. Nope. We'll be talking.
Awesome.
We'll be talking. I'm excited. So I met Dean for the first time, I guess it was 2021. So I was in the resort that I own up in the Minocqua area of Wisconsin, was featured in a documentary called Alien Abduction Answers. And basically what it was a scary title, but it featured myself and many of my friends, my best friends, and the late director John Yost in his story of growing up and having these terrifying childhood experiences. He too went through quantum hypnosis and got to the bottom of the experience. But anyway, long story short, Dean's Midwest Weird Fest featured our movie, and we won Movie of the Year or whatever it was, Documentary of the Year. So we were very excited.
Very cool. Yeah, I didn't even know he was from Wisconsin myself until recently, but I met him last year at the Milwaukee Paracon. We were both speaking there.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, he's great. So yeah, he premiered our movie for us, and that was really awesome. And I'm so excited to have him at our expo. It's so perfect. He's going to be talking about the Shaver mystery, which I never even knew anything about, and I'm thrilled. I can't wait to see his little short I guess it's called. I don't know. Is it called The Short? I don't know. His
Oh,
little movie.
yeah, this movie. Yeah, awesome. All of a sudden, our audience has woken up here today. So, hello, good morning, hello, Octopus. Welcome to the show. Again, we are live today. Next week we are recorded, so keep that in mind. But anyway, moving forward, you, most of my guests on here have had experiences their whole life, and kind of moved into this thing and knew there was something out there in that. And you have a very interesting story that you've not you wanted these experiences your whole life and didn't have them. So let me start off with the beginning here. You're obviously interested. We were talking before the show about your interest in all this stuff, but did you have, we talk about being young and kids and stuff, and their parents kind of downplay things like there's no such thing as imaginary friends, or the monster in your closet that doesn't exist, and these our open awareness and stuff kind of gets compounded and pushed down and stuff in a lot of cases. Did you have that as a child? Were you kind of pushed into a box, or?
Well, actually, I'll start out with something that I didn't have any control over. So there was a situation, I call them my fast dreams, where between the ages of like 7 years old and middle school, I would have these like horrifying nightmares where I would wake up, but I wouldn't be awake. My parents would be trying to wake me up, but I couldn't snap out of it, where I would see these screens. It'd be like old TV snow, like the poltergeist thing. And there would be a line in the middle of it. And this was recurring. This happened all the time. And on that line that I was seeing, it was kind of like a heartbeat line. And when it was flat, I felt like I was safe, and it was somehow tied to my breath. I have no idea. But when that line would crinkle up and like squiggle, that meant I was like gonna die. Like I was losing my breath and I was gonna die. So this happened as a child, and it happened over and over and over again. And it was absolutely terrifying. No one knew why. No one knew nothing. My parents just thought, who knows? But then it just stopped in middle school for some reason. Well, decades later now, in talking to many people who's had similar experiences, I understand that it was a form of contact. There was some communication happening with me, but I didn't know at the time. It was just terrifying. But to answer your question about, family members and stuff, my parents were always just kind of open-minded, but it never really came up. But my grandparents, who lived part of the year, they lived in Chicago, but part of the year in New Mexico and Arizona, they would have full-on daytime UFO sightings where big cigar-shaped craft would be cruising along their car at 12 noon in the desert. And they would just tell me about these things, very matter of fact, like, oh yeah, this happened. And then Grandpa and I woke up in the middle of the night, and for some reason we both stepped on the toilet and looked out the window in the little motel, and all these multicolored lights were everywhere. Oh, I don't know what they were. So they thought they were no big deal. So I grew up hearing these stories like, holy cow. And my grandfather would have these Time Life books in his house, like Mystic Places or ESP. And, so I would be reading these books and seeing things. So I was always like very curious about these things. But no, I never had like a UFO sighting. I never had anything. And I always just thought people that had those things were just so lucky. So I had to, as an adult, once my awakening happened, I had to kind of create those experiences for myself, which happened way, way, way later.
So take us through this then. How did you, because this is really interesting for the people, this is like a, hallmark story here for the people like yourself that want to follow in these footsteps that, want to have these experiences and stuff. So how did you go from wanting to all this stuff to breaking through and opening up there?
So, well, life got in the way, right? So after those weird contact things that were terrifying stopped, you grow up, you get married. I had kids, I had a career, went to college, lived in Chicago, downtown, living the dream, having a great time. And never thought about never thought about anything, maybe very little, just nothing. But in 2016, I was sitting in my house in the southwest suburbs of Chicago with my kids. My son was 9 at the time. My girls were really little. They were like 3. And my husband, who never, even if I wanted to watch a UFO documentary, if we were like flipping through cable or something, he'd be like, get that off, never even wanted to waste time watching something like that. But this day we were cruising through, flipping around, and I saw a documentary, and I wanted my son, who was 9. I'm like, you know what? Stop on this. I want him to like learn a little bit about UFOs. He's of that age, Something clicked in me. I saw something, maybe it was some ISS footage or some NASA footage or something. And I went, whoa. And I went back into my den after that was over. And I got on social media and I started researching. And from that moment forward till today, all I watch, read, everything is all about phenomena like that, but it's blossomed into other avenues and other directions. It's completely changed my life, how I raise my kids, the trajectory of my career, just everything. Up and moved to Wisconsin, and it was all a result of that. But to answer your question, that was kind of a long tangent. I still hadn't had any experiences. So lucky for me, from this awakening, I veered directly into something that's called CE5, and it's Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. And basically what it is I ran into Dr. Greer's movie, and it just kept showing up in as I was researching stuff that first night. And I'm like, well, I better watch this movie. It's showing. I didn't even feel like sitting down and watching a movie, but I did right off the bat. And my mind was blown. What I discovered was that people, Dr. Greer and others, were actually able to sit down, meditate, and ETs would show up. I couldn't even believe it. I was like, what? This is going on? So basically, I learned how to do it. And it took me probably 8 or 9 months of consistent daily work, following all the instructions, doing everything I'm supposed to do, like just doing it. And I finally was able to see my first UFO. And from that moment, now we're at a point in my life where I just go outside and they're just there all the time. My kids are so sick of seeing them. It's so funny. I'll be like, look, guys, because to me, it's still full of awe and wonder. And my 12-year-olds will be like, no one cares about your UFOs, Mom. No one cares. And I'm like, do you guys understand how many people care? They would love it. But so from that moment, then it just kind of veered off in a lot of different other directions, and experiences of all kinds happen constantly.
Yeah, absolutely. Once you seem to have that first encounter, it opens your mind. And once you can see that, then more and more things start appearing and showing themselves, not necessarily because they weren't there the whole time, but because now you've had that paradigm shift of being able to see it. And well, if that exists, well, what else is out there?
Exactly. And, Bashar, who is an ET that is channeled by Daryl Anka, he would say that that's your permission slip. All you needed was a permission slip to see it. And now all of a sudden you're open to a whole other world. And that whole other world is literally magical. It's just magic. And if for people who are curious naturally, like myself, it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. I'm learning so many new things all the time. In fact, that was my original awakening to our true reality in 2016. And it's scary. You learn things that you're like, ugh, God, I just can't unsee that now. And God, I wish I didn't know that was true. I really liked my ignorant bliss, but I'm going through kind of like another awakening now, like another level. And it's kind of the same thing where things are dawning on me. And I'm like, ooh. It's kind of uncomfortable because every time your belief system shifts,
yes,
there's a little adjustment period, but it's all good.
Have you, you got that kind of stuff? Have you read a lot of Nick Redfern books?
I'm familiar with him, but no, I have not, but I will now. Oh, great. So I could really double down on the
Yeah, there's been 2 times since Caps. I do a lot of research and listen to audiobooks and stuff. And there's been 2 times where I've had to step back and go, what the hell am I doing? Like,
Ooh,
I don't know. And one of them was right after I finished one of Nick Redfern's books. I'm like, man, that was unsettling. That was
I'm writing it down to remind myself, because if I don't write it down, I won't. But yeah, so now I have to. So I will report back to you on
he's
how
got a lot of them.
traumatized I
He's got
am.
a lot of books, and
Right.
don't get me wrong, they're really good. And that's the problem. He does a lot of Freedom of Information acts,
Oh
and
yeah.
so he gets those, and then he contacts a lot of the witnesses and stuff, and yeah, so they're really,
Nothing
really
surprises me anymore, but I appreciate research like that, because you can pick and choose what resonates with you and what doesn't, but what I tell people, you have to look at all the sides. You have to look at everything. You have to look at every, angle, the ones you like and the ones you don't like, and then you form your own opinion.
Mhm.
But yeah, so a researcher like him, I'll be excited to read some of his stuff.
Absolutely. Well, that's like CAPS, Cryptids Anomalies in the Paranormal Society, my team.
Yep.
We all have different specialties. And when we go on investigations, like if we, we have a Bigfoot sighting or a paranormal case, we don't go into the woods looking for Bigfoot. We go out to see what's there. And it could be
Exactly.
paranormal or fairies or alien or whatever is there. But if you put those blinders on and you say, okay, I'm looking for Bigfoot, you're going to miss all this other stuff and all the other connections and weird things that happen by having those blinders. So
That is so true. It is really it's an effort of being open at all times, and really being open to the more subtle things is what I've found. So many people expect like this, bam, this big. No, there's subtle little things, and then they grow over time a lot of times, but the subtleties are just as huge and magical, in my opinion. So yeah, being open is so key.
Absolutely. And we've done a couple CE5 investigations as well, and it's very interesting. We've gotten things. I mean, I'm a very tech oriented person.
Yes.
I like my gadgets. I love the unexplained, but I do think that the unexplained and all these modalities and spiritualisms and all that is still science. No matter what you look at it, it's just science that we don't understand.
We haven't gotten there yet. Exactly.
So when we go out and we have all these, satellite trackers, UFO trackers and stuff, and then something does show up that's on none of this equipment, that's pretty cool. And we've gotten that twice now on, well, actually 3. We've done 3 CE5s, and each one we've gotten at least one thing that has stood out as not supposed to be there. So
and that's the thing with CE5, it's got its little bit of woo, but we try very hard. We don't want to jump on anything and say, oh, that's a UFO, that's a UFO. We do the same thing. We investigate, we discriminate, we discern, we look at things to make sure that what we're seeing is something anomalous. And that's all we're saying it is anomalous. Now, there are people that take that further, they're through meditation, and they get messages and they receive messages and stuff. So, we can kind of find out what is showing up for us and why and all that other stuff. But that's like a whole other chapter. It all starts out first, shiny lights in the sky. Oh my goodness, I can't believe we're seeing this. But then once you start seeing that over and over, and then you start to feel the impressions and talk to other experiencers, then the story starts to unfold deeper and deeper and more amazing and mind-blowing. And yeah, it's great.
I've heard more and more recently at these CE5 events, other things coming as well. Like they'll be all looking into the sky, and they will have like Bigfoot encounters and stuff with coming out of the woods, or fairy encounters as well, or fays.
Let me tell you, yes, for sure. So 1 year. So I'm with these really experienced, seasoned, CE5ers who have been doing this for a really long time. And I still consider myself relatively new, even though it's going on 10 years now, but compared to them. Mm-hmm. One thing that they would always see, because I host these retreats in the Northwoods every year. It'll be our 8th year next year? 9th year? I don't know. Anyway. these experienced people, they see things in the sky, but they also, like, someone will see a vortex, a red vortex. Do you see that? Red vortex? No, I don't see anything. You see that? Oh, and then the other one's got this humanoid shadow being. Do you see that? No, I don't see anything. But I do see the stuff in the sky.
Mhm.
One year I made my intention that I did share with the group was I want to see some of this ground stuff. I'm very used to seeing it. I don't take it for granted, but I'm very used to seeing the stuff in the sky. I want to see some of this ground stuff. So what happens that particular year, one night, it was a beautiful night. All we saw everywhere were these pinpoint whitish, bluish, bright lights that were about 2 or 3 feet off the ground. As you approached them, they'd go out, and then you'd back up again, and they'd turn on, and they were everywhere. And my little baby human mind immediately told the group, like an idiot, I don't know what I was thinking. But again, that was that ego human mind kicking in. I said, oh, that's got to be some kind of glowworm or some kind of rare firefly or something. But then they just went on all night, and all of us were seeing them and saw it. After the event was over, I scoured the internet, everything, to see if there's anything. And this was like the third week of September. Fireflies were no longer around. They didn't even look like them. They were a different color entirely. The only thing that in the natural world that is documented are these like light blue type things that exist in a cave in Australia, like once a year for 1 week. You got to go a mile in a cave underwater. It's like the craziest thing. Nothing in Wisconsin. So I'm sad at myself for not embracing it, because that is what a fairy light would be. The fairies would look like to a lot of people that said, yeah, dummy, those were fairies. But I wasn't allowing myself to open up to that at the time. So we're always checking ourselves, because that ego always jumps in, that left brain who wants that evidence and who's going to poo-poo something mystical.
Mm-hmm.
But now I look back, and now I beg them to come back. So hopefully someday they will come back for me.
Oh yeah, they're definitely interesting. I tell a story. It's on one of our episodes and stuff. Long story short, I went into the woods. We had a trail camera set up, and I went in there with a thermal imager, a handheld, like a trigger one, just a picture one.
Okay.
And I was walking in the woods to retrieve this trail camera, and I basically went in, took a left turn, and went straight, and ended up back on the same trail that I originally was on. So somehow I made a complete 360 and came back. So that was the first weird thing that happened to me. Well, then I ended up going in, and I watched my GPS, and I went off trail again, and I got the trail camera, came back out, went to the car. Well, when I got to the car, I realized that my thermal imager wasn't there anymore. And I'm like, oh man, I dropped it in there. So this is a $300 piece of equipment. I don't really, and this is at night, by the way. So
yeah, right.
I don't want to really, come back in the morning and look for it, whatever. So I went back in, and I did something on purpose. I took my cameras off.
Okay.
And I said, okay, I'm going to go back in there, because we have GoPros everywhere we go. And
Sure.
I said, I'm going to go in there because I don't want to put all the stuff back on, and I want to see if I have an experience. And this was a very fairy area, very paranormal. We had Bigfoot encounters there.
Yeah.
And I went in, and I'm looking along, and I see this log on the ground with a hole in it. And at the top of the hole is this glowing, it looked like a cat eye.
Yeah.
And I could see it out of the corner of my eye when I'm walking, and I'm like, oh, it's the screen of the thermal imager, right? And I turn and look, and it's this like cat eye. And
like
again,
a yellow color, like a golden or a green or
so here's the thing is, off the top of my head, I'd have to go back and watch my instant review when I came out, but it's either green or yellow at the time.
Okay.
This is November. This was right after deer hunting season.
Yeah.
Opened, because we put the camera up for deer hunting weekend, and then we took it down.
Got it.
And so I'm looking at this cat eye, and I had my flashlight on it, and I'm like, oh, it's a reflection. And I took the light away, and it's still glowing. And this is why I can't remember what color it was, because it changed color.
Oh my
So it
gosh.
was either yellow and turned to green, or it was green
Okay.
and turned yellow. And I can't remember which one was first, but it swapped between the two. And then what happened, like in all good weird fairy tales and stuff, is I hear something off in the woods to my right when I'm looking straight at this thing. And I'm like, okay, so whatever's over there is trying to draw my attention. I don't want to
Yep.
look over there. I need to focus on what this thing is. So I took a step forward towards this glowing eyeball at the top of this log, and the thing over in the woods got closer.
Oh my
And I'm like,
gosh.
ah, crap. I really, there could be anything in here. I know there's Bigfoot. There could be wolf, coyote. I
Oh
don't know
yeah.
what's in here. I need to look and see what this thing is, especially because I don't have my thermal. So I turned, shined my flashlight, looked, don't see nothing. Look back, this thing is gone.
Ah,
So then I go back to the trail, take like 2 steps forward, and my thermal imager is laying right on the trail in front of me.
unbelievable. Unbelievable. I love it.
That's my one fairy encounter I had. And
That
it was
is amazing. How
insane.
big was it about? Like a dime,
A
a
cat
nickel?
eye,
Yeah.
about the size
So
of a
like
cat.
the size
So
of a
like
cat
penny.
eye.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh gosh.
But I have no idea what it was. But it was just this glowing, looked like, like a firefly or something, but it
Yeah.
was a steady on glowing light. And then it changed colors, and
And it's
no idea.
November. There's no fire, right. And so that's awesome. I love that. I love that. That's an incredible story.
Very cool. So let's see. Are you going to do a CE5 with your event coming up?
So at our sky watches, so yes, there'll be a sky watch every night. Because Chris, people come
Yep.
from all over the country to see Chris. And last year we had a sky watch for one of the nights, and of course the night that we have the sky watch, pouring rain. But we did do some the other nights too. But this year we're going to have 2 sky watches, one on Friday, one on Saturday. On Sunday, we're actually having a private offsite sky watch at an undisclosed location. It's just going to be for a small group of people, VIP, and the proceeds for that particular add-on ticket. So we have our regular ticket that includes a lot of all the free lectures and a lot of free workshops, but then we have these separate add-on tickets that are for specific workshops. And this particular add-on is all the proceeds are going to Chris's grandson, Chris Jr., who will be there. Chris's son has a son named Vincent, who's 15, and he's a paraplegic. So we're looking to build him a handicap accessible bathroom for his house. He hasn't had one. They live in a small house that has just a smaller bathroom. So all the proceeds for that VIP Skywatch go directly to support the construction of that bathroom. But anyway, so yeah, we'll be having lots of different Skywatch opportunities for people. Now, Chris, CE5 is different. CE5 has certain rules and regulations, kind of. But Chris, all he does is he just goes out there and just says a prayer. So there's not a lot of, meditation. In fact, it's funny. I had Chris out at my retreat this last August. So he was at our retreat in August of 2025. He's going to also be at our little retreat, which is only 35 people, in September of 2026. And he comes out and he's like, I don't want you guys laying around. We're all quiet. We're in our, anti-gravity chairs. We're all in meditation, silence mode. And he comes up with his entourage. He brought a bunch of people, amazing people. He's like, get up. I want you walking around. I want you smiling. I want you having a good time. Someone had wine. I was like, what? Wine is like totally illegal in the CE5 world. So anyway, but, and then I think they had like 40 or 80 gig of data that they recorded during those nights. So, contact can be made in many different ways, many different forms. And that's what we try to teach at the expo. I started out in CE5, but, that veered off to taking online telekinesis courses, and once I was able to get that little thing to spin, I was satisfied. I see that it's true, it's real, I can do it. So I'd move on to the next thing. Then I took Julie Adriani is a physical medium. So I took a year-long apprenticeship, basically a mentorship course with her. And what I found in doing that, it was there were so many parallels and overlap between what I was learning with CE5 and then the mediumship thing. And then, there's psychedelics and plant ceremonies too. When ayahuasca, what you experience there is very similar to what you'll experience with these other things. And it became very clear that all of this stuff is one phenomena. And Ray Hernandez wrote a book called Mind of God, and he actually coined the term contact modality. And what he is saying, and studying over 3,000 people or 4,000 people, all of these, the paranormal, psychedelic experiences, remote viewing, UFO experiences, meditation and breath work, all these different things have been studied separately by scientists over the decades, but really they all fall under the one umbrella of consciousness. They're all the same phenomena, just wearing different hats. So now these pioneers in consciousness research are studying them together and just looking at all the similarities. And so that's what the Modalities Expo does. It introduces a variety of methods to people to see which one resonates, whichever one floats your boat, to try out and go down a different direction. And hopefully with our first expo, we introduced a lot of new things to a lot of new people. And what was really cool for me specifically, that was my goal, that was my mission. But what was really cool was to have actual presenters learning new things too, that they would either maybe not pay attention to or discount in the past. And they were like, whoa, this blew their mind. So that was awesome.
Very cool. Very cool. Let's see here. Pancho wanted to know when and where it was. It was in Delavan, Wisconsin. I pulled up the poster here and stuff for you.
Oh yeah, yeah. So the Skywatches coming up in May are in Delavan, southeastern Wisconsin. But then we have the little retreat that's up in the Northwoods, which is in the Minocqua area.
There are, if he says it's only 365 miles away. That's odd because those numbers mean something to me, which is really interesting too. Like when you start digging into this stuff, it all kind of spirals, like you said, into all these things. But
I just got chills, right? The synchronicities, exactly.
Yep. But for anybody that, if it is 400 miles away for you or what have you, and it's too far, look up CE5, look up Skywatch events near you. There are groups all over the United States that do this and tons of people that meet. And no matter where you are, you can go out and have one of these experiences and check it out. I know Zach Screedy does the one down in
by the Dells,
Dells area,
central Wisconsin. Yep.
And
his meets very regularly. Very regularly, weather permitting. But that's it. And you could do it yourself. Right. I did it myself. No, I'm telling you, there was wine this time. There was wine. There was wine, and it worked. Still, we still saw awesome things in the sky.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Let me ask you this, and this is interesting because. And you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but okay. What is your blood type?
Oh, you know what? It's funny. I don't remember. I looked it up a million years ago because I'm learning all about these blood types. I'll get back to you on that. I don't remember. My dad's watching. Dad, if you remember my blood type, type it in the in the chat.
Awesome. There's, like you said, there's so much behind the blood types, and that we found out that we were just on a Thanksgiving episode with all the hosts from the Untold, and Dean Bertram, I'm pretty sure Dean was too, Doug Hychek, Roger, Chris, all the other ones except for me and Jeff were the only ones that didn't have O negative.
Oh.
And yeah,
really?
Oh yeah. And almost 75% of the people in the audience also were O negative blood, which is, supposed to be like the alien contacting blood type and stuff. So I've kind of taken on myself now. I know Lee Warner, when she's in the audience, asks my guests anyway if they bring up aliens. So I've kind of, we'll go along with this and see. But
that's very fascinating. Yep, I've heard that stuff before.
Yeah, so the blood type matters because it's just supposed to be a lot of your contactees that have had experiences and stuff are all O negative. and they're trying to figure out if there's a connection between this specific blood type and having abductions or, being, alien touched or whatever have you. But it seems like there's a quite a connection. Octopus says he's O positive. Well, that's interesting. That's the first one I've heard that's O positive.
I gotta find out.
So yeah, it's really interesting. My guest next week, I'm going to spoil this, so you have to come back and watch. But she has a really unique story with her blood. So, just saying. Yeah, there's a spoiler for you. Next
Okay,
week,
I will totally check. Yes, I'll absolutely check it out.
Yeah. See, mine is B positive.
Okay.
So his is A negative. So we're out of the fan club here. But interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Very good. Have you, going back to that as well, we were talking about something else in the news lately. Have you heard about the DMT experiment with lasers, and they shine the laser and see like the codes?
Binary code, like the zeros and ones.
Yeah. Have you? What do you think of that?
I believe it. I absolutely believe it. 100%. There's been times I've woken up in the middle of the night and I've seen the Matrix, a lot of different, like a grid, like thing that, again, you have to blink your eyes a few times for 5 minutes or so before it's gone. I believe that DMT and all of those, whether it's ayahuasca, which has DMT in it, the regular straight DMT, and we make, DMT in our brains. I believe that is one of the ways people can tap into that other side. So I would be interested to talking to someone direct who's had that experience, or I should just like sign some people up. I mean, I'll talk to my friends that are not afraid of DMT like I am and to try it.
I got to dig more into that because actually Doug Hychek, our network head or whatever was bringing that up on the show that he had talked about. And I'd seen it in passing on a Facebook post and stuff. And I was like, wow, you hear so many stories about things like that. And you just kind of like, whatever, they're crazy, or, it's just some, clickbait thing or whatever.
Right.
So I didn't dig much further into it, but
I don't know about it for sure, but I think it's interesting. So I know, during these types of journeys, people experience a lot of different types of things. And one of the things with contact modalities, so when you're studying all of the different contact modalities, there's these kind of recurring themes. And one of them is, a non-human intelligence, some sort of connection with a non-human intelligence, whether it's, something that you say is God or an angel or a demon or just some sort of entity or an ET or a ghost, and there's also like an alteration in space time too, with all of these modalities, and seeing or perceiving that grid or that matrix or that simulation or whatever it is one of those things as well.
That's really interesting. I've never done any kind of drugs or any of that stuff. I've always been weird on my own without having to add any substance to it or that. But I got to go to Phenomicon a couple years ago, and they did a psychedelic trip using light and sound.
Oh yeah.
And I did try that, and I did my best to try and relax and lean into it. And I saw like a green meadow and a lot of colors. But that was about all that I got out of it. It didn't really do much. So,
everybody's different. Even when you're doing the actual drugs or having the experience. Oh, there's my dad. I'm O negative. All right, there you go. Thank you.
There you go. So you definitely should be having these experiences.
I am part of the group. Oh, I'm so glad to be included.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Thanks, Papa.
Thank you for adding that for us there.
So anyway, even when it comes to, ayahuasca ceremonies, which I've facilitated these with ceremonial leaders before in the past, a long time ago. And, some people have deep, amazing, quintessential psychedelic experiences, healing, the whole bit, and others have nothing. So it really just depends on the person. Like for me, like I don't need any of that stuff. Some people do. Some people need that shortcut, as I like to call it, to have that kind of experience to tap in. Breath work will take me there 100%. In fact, when I discovered breath work through Kimberly Porth, who's also speaking at our expo and doing a workshop, I'd never heard of breath work before. She was leading us through it before CE5, and I was like, what is this? Well, that has taken my meditations, which again, another thing too. I was started meditating in 2016 because I wanted to see ETs in the sky. I wanted to see UFOs. My meditations were horrible. I got the chatter and all that stuff. And I'm so busy. I got a million kids and a million jobs and I do a million things. I could never meditate up until 2 years ago. 2 years ago, finally, I can say I can get into pretty much a trance and I have all these amazing experiences. But what took me there was breath work. So if you study, Soma Breath is a breath work website from Niraj, he does it. And there's a million different practitioners online on the internet as well. Like you said, CE5, you can find a CE5 circle everywhere. But to really get to anything that's very deep, breath work will get you there really fast. But not everybody's going to be willing to take the time. There's a lot of people out there that will attend a sacred ceremony, whether it's a psilocybin ceremony or ayahuasca, or they do them all now, a lot of different things. There's ketamine and all kinds of different things that people use. Most of those people don't really have a spiritual tool that they use. They've heard about this now. They hear, who's that guy that used to be the quarterback for Green Bay?
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. They hear him talk about it. I'm a Bears fan still, by the way. I mean,
I'm not a football fan, so yeah.
Okay, yeah. I don't really watch any of it, but anyway, they hear about this stuff that's like in pop culture now. So it's a mainstream person. They come to these ayahuasca ceremonies, and that might be their ticket, but it might not be. So what I'm trying to do is just introduce people to different ways. Because what works for some, it's not a one size fits all thing. What works for some is not going to work for others. Like you went down, paranormal and cryptozoology and stuff like that. That was your lane. But I know when you're at our event, and if you take the time to walk away from your booth, which you should, I'll watch it for you. I'll hand out your flyers for your event the next weekend. Make sure you check out some people. I'll put a list. I'll say, Barnaby, you got to check out this person because you're going to be blown away. There's so many different ways to get there. And it's really all amazing. And for me, it's just a curiosity thing. It's like, okay, this one worked. Awesome. Check. Let's go to the next one and dive deep into that one. Check. But one thing I always go back to is breath work, because that one, there's a lot of different ways to do it, a lot of different methodologies, and it really works.
I think the key takeaway there is that, there's no shortcut. It took you years to get it all down, and, you can't just go to one of these retreats and take whatever and all of a sudden now you're enlightened, but you have to do all the other steps along with it. And
you are right. And that even goes with the psychedelics. So many people think they're going to go to a sacred ceremony or they're going to get a treatment in, in offices. Now they do it in like doctor's offices or whatever. And they're going to come out cured. No, the rubber meets the road after the ceremony. The ceremony lets you take in some information and see that there's hope and there's God and there's beauty and life is precious and all these wonderful things. But when you get back out to real life, that's when you have to do the work, spend a little time, because that's when the healing really happens, when you integrate it back into your life, what you've, experienced. And that's when the magic really happens. There is no shortcut. Exactly. You do have to do the work. And if you're curious enough, what the universe will do is, as you're doing the work, like you said, with the synchronicities and with that man who said 365 means something to him, the universe will give you little breadcrumbs. It'll give you little hints to keep you going. And if you acknowledge those breadcrumbs and you acknowledge these little tiny miracles, I'm just getting chills all over talking about it. It'll just snowball and snowball and snowball. And not only is it cool, like I do it because it's cool. I love it. I just think it's so fascinating. but it really is healing. Like I've gone down some big journeys, I guess, to release blocks and really clear myself. So I'm really an open channel and open to receive whatever the universe wants to deliver. And through that process, there's been a lot of stuff that you encounter or you acknowledge that you might have gone through as a child or as an adult, and you get rid of that shit, man. Excuse my profanity. You just get rid of it, because the more you get rid of it and clear that, even more and more stuff happens.
I think also an important note on that is, you talk about these people that go to these retreats just for the sake of, trying it or because it's the cool thing or whatever. And that can be dangerous too, because I mean, like for somebody that wants to have those experiences and is already open to it, you're knowing kind of what to expect. But for somebody that, we get calls for our team all the time of, I'm seeing, demons in my house, I'm seeing ghosts and stuff. And all it is they're, empathic. They have the abilities and they don't know how to control them. So for somebody that thinks this is the cool new fad to do, and you open yourself up to this, you're going to start having these experiences, and then you need to be aware of that.
You may not be ready for them. Exactly. Be careful what you freaking wish for. Exactly. So in our retreats and everything, all the practitioners that I have at the expo, have been doing this stuff forever. They're people that I know personally or have followed their work. And I created this whole expo based on my own highest excitement, the people I know and love and think are cool, and you're one of them. So, but they all are so responsible in what they warn people in advance. At my retreat, Kimberly took us aside because someone had a ridiculously profound experience. A guy who was a first timer at our retreat. He was at night with some others. They were on this gravel road by our resort, and it was like 10:30 at night, and they all saw this orb in the distance about human height. Okay. He described it one way. The others described it another way. Long story short, it came rushing at him. He was unconscious, fell down. They had to like drag him out and bring him down to his cabin he was staying at. And I'm not finding this out until the next day. I was like, oh my gosh. Anyway, it was a positive experience for him, believe it or not. It changed his life for the better. Yeah. He was not afraid. He was unconscious. I mean, whatever it is. But anyway, so, we had this emergency gather because, everyone's there. They want to experience it. They want it up close. They're not satisfied with it just in the sky. They want it here. And something like that can happen to you. And thank goodness he had others with him and, everything was fine. But yes, you invite these things to make themselves known, and you have to be protected and you have to be smart about it. And, you learn prayers and different rituals and things that will help protect your consciousness from what's out there. And I will say that everything that I have personally, besides the unsettling realities, other than that, everything that I've experienced has been super positive, very love-based. But that's because that's what I expect. So, as above, so below. What you create inside yourself is the world that you're going to see out there. And I deliberately work very hard at trying to keep my vibe high, with all the trials and tribulations that go on in the world and just with life in general, having a state of gratitude always, and always being reminded of how grateful I am for just the little things. When you put love out there, that's what you get back. But yeah, you have to be very smart.
Absolutely. Talk about profound experiences. This one stands out to me the most is, we hosted a gallery reading at one of our conventions a couple years ago. And there was these two guys in the front row, and there was alcohol there, right? Mm-hmm. And underneath their chair during the whole presentation, they were gathering cups, empty cups of alcohol from the day. And they amassed quite a collection, and they weren't rowdy. They weren't nothing. I mean, it's Wisconsin, right? So
yeah, right.
They had literally underneath their chair was just full of these beverage cups.
Yeah.
Cleaned them up. They took them with them and stuff at the end of it. But then that night we had the gallery, and here comes these two dudes, and they go, "Hey, we still got tickets available for this. Can we come in?" I'm like, "Yeah," and I'm thinking, but if you're not a good boy, I'm gonna kick you out,
Right.
and you're
Right.
gonna come in here and do whatever and think that this is some big party or whatever. But they came in, and one of the first, I think it was the first person that she read was one of those guys.
Oh.
And she brought his grandfather through, who was a woodworker, and he was a woodworker. And so he had this connection to his grandfather and stuff. And you want to see somebody sober up real quick. He went from lightly toasted to bawling his eyes out there.
Oh,
they've come back to everyone since, and they've just changed. I mean, like, they went from, okay, we'll check it out, to, I mean, like, legit, like she is, and it was so cool to see that reaction, because you're walking.
That is what it's all about. That is what it's all about. And for you, for a host of a conference like that, where you're teaching of our true reality as well, it's seeing these people, I have people that attended our retreats from the first, second year, along with me, and seeing where they've come till today and how their lives have just changed. And it really, it's always for the better, really. I mean, I know I see things and I read things about people that have, like those entity attachments and stuff like that and things like that, and all stuff that I do believe in very much. But those people, those are basically phone calls from the subconscious saying, you got some inner work to do. So, these things are going to keep happening. These negative patterns and negative things are going to continue to plague your life in general until you get down to work and start figuring out how to work on whatever you're harboring inside. Because once you release that and you're healed of that particular thing, then things are going to start to look beautiful in your world. And people have to believe that. And again, they have to work at it too.
Yeah, I guess we talk about, Bigfoot conventions and paranormal and metaphysical events and stuff like that all the time on these shows, and how important they are to the community and stuff. Because, if you do not believe in anything that we're talking about today at all, if you're just tuning in, you see this, and maybe you saw it on one of these, guest speakers on TV or something, whatever, and you go to these events, if nothing else, the people at these events are so positive, and the energy is so positive there, that if you walk away with nothing else, your spirit, your energy and stuff is going to be lifted because of that, at the very least, whether you gain anything else from it. I mean, you go to craft sales, flea markets, any of these other, events and sales and stuff, there's people there, we'll say that. And you walk out and you go, but I mean, these events, the metaphysical and stuff like that, they're just nothing but positivity there. And these people are amazing. And it's just,
and you're right. And the energy of the space and the people is it, period. Because we are all energy. That's what we're made of. That's what our world is made of. It's all energy vibrating at different, velocities or whatever. But yeah, just being around these people, you leave something, the seed is planted, and that's all I want to do. My husband, when I met him 3 years ago or whatever, he would not, even if it ever came up, like I said, he didn't even want us to watch shows about UFOs or anything, because it was just like such a waste of time. It was like carnival to him. It was like just a magic show. It's completely phony. Any of this stuff, and then go cryptids. Oh my God. Like, I don't even know today if he believes in Bigfoot. I'm going to ask him when he comes home later. I'm going to say, do you believe in Bigfoot yet? I mean, we've watched Todd Standing's, documentaries on Bigfoot. We've seen the photos, Jay Bachochin, who spoke at our expo last year, again, coming up. We've watched all of his movies, although I do have to watch the current one that he just has coming out now that it's on digital. I can't, he's asking me to buy a Blu-ray. I'm like, a Blu-ray? I don't even know what a freaking Blu-ray is. I know it's from like a million years ago, but now it's digital. So I forgot my whole point of this whole story. But how far he's come, because he's such a wonderfully supportive husband. he'll watch all the movies with me, all the documentaries, everything, you know, he'll just watch them with me. And, you know, at the end, I'll be like, oh my God, that was amazing. And he'll be like, yeah, whatever. So he's come a long way because it's undeniable. Once you research something and you literally listen to it, and then you look at a different perspective and a different perspective, you cannot deny the existence of these things happening. You can't. And there's a new movie that just came out called Age of Disclosure, which is, you know, taking the world by storm right now. And some of my people get mad at me because I support that film. It does have a little bit of it kind of says that the ETs have a negative agenda, or it's threatening that the ETs have a negative agenda. And they don't want me to support that film because of it. But I do support the film because it's not for me. It's not for Barnaby. It's not for Zach. It's not for my community that already we know what's going on. It's for all those people, like you said, that don't even think about this stuff. Or if they do, it's so little. At least this movie opens them up to understanding that there is truly something out there that really does exist. And then hopefully after they watch that movie, they'll be able to start doing their own research, and they'll start running into the positive aspects and not this fear-based, you know, got to start food prepping and, you know, find a cave to live in because the ETs are coming to get us. If the ETs wanted to get us, that's all there is to it. We'd been gotten. We'd be done by now, you know.
Yeah, I think that this whole thing, you know, I follow the government disclosure and stuff very closely. I have a whole presentation that is up to the date of that I do for like libraries and stuff about this, because it's important, because there's so much stuff that's going on in the government and coming forward, and people are completely oblivious to it. The things that have been said, that, you know, we have craft, we have bodies and stuff, and this is, you know, 100% fact, we have this, blah blah blah, and people are like, oh no, aliens still don't exist or whatever. And but you're right, the whole government side, and this is one of the things that happened, was we went from unidentified flying object to unidentified aerial phenomenon, from UFO to UAP. And the reason why the government finally took it seriously is because of that shift and saying that they were a threat to our airspace.
Yep.
And then, oh, they're a threat. Now we'll talk about it.
Exactly.
Now, this bothers me to no end, and I'm going to tell you my thought on it, and I want to hear what you have to say about it. But from way back at the end of World War II, we've heard this story of, you know, this false flag agenda, where these flying saucers are going to come out and pretend to be actual ETs, and it's just the government, this whole false flag thing to unify us all under the one world order and all this stuff.
Right, that Eisenhower talked about back then, the military.
The only way that the world is going to unite is when
right.
it's a threat that's outside of our, exactly. And it seems to me that we're being led in that direction. And because, you know, like yourself and all these other experiencers and stuff. Now, when you have these experiences, people do have traumatic experiences of being abducted and all that. But you look at this from the standpoint of, you know, like I always say, like, you know, you have like rhinos in Africa, right? And they're endangered. They're threatened. We want to protect them. So we go out there. What do? We shoot them with a tranquilizer gun. We load them onto a truck. We take them back to the hospital. We check them out, make sure they're healthy, take a blood sample, take some, you know, sperm, egg samples, whatever. Yep. Throw them back on the African savannah, and that rhino wakes up and goes, I was just abducted by aliens. You know,
it was the most awful experience of my life. I'm going to tell everybody in the world it was terrible. They're terrible. Exactly.
So now are these extraterrestrials or whatever just trying to do the same thing to us? Because look at the way what we're doing to the planet. We are ruining this planet. And the other shift between UFO and UAP is more of the government talk is talking about these things not being extraterrestrial, not off-world, but more interdimensional, meaning these are all creatures and beings and stuff that are on the planet with us. So
or under the planet or in the oceans. Yep.
Of course, they don't want us to bomb the planet, destroy the environment and stuff, because they live here too.
Exactly.
So I think that, the way that this is leading is they're trying to portray this as a negative thing,
Yep.
that they can launch their false flag mission and everyone revolts. And then when the actual real ETs or interdimensionals come forward, we're going to be against them.
Yep.
And that's what is
I
afraid.
agree with you. I do believe, sadly, before my awakening, I was all like pro government, pro America, pro democracy, everything's great. And then, you start learning different. Okay.
Hmm.
Now, I do always remain optimistic, but I am a free thinker. Okay. I don't, especially because of the ET cover up. Okay. The UFO cover up. Then that because they've been not only covering up and killing people and doing everything in their power to cover this up for so long. Of course, they're covering up a million other conspiracies out there.
Mm-hmm.
Sadly, conspiracies exist. I pick and choose my conspiracies, whatever resonates with me, or, I try to learn as much, but I do believe that. I think that they will use this story, this narrative to control us the best they can, because once the cat's out of the bag and true contact does happen with these benevolent ETs that have been so patient with our violent little ignorant butts, it's going to open up a whole other world for humanity, because we are going to realize our true power. We are going to realize our innate abilities to do these amazing things and to live a beautiful, harmonious life where there's no famine, there's no, violence. We take care of each other. We take care of our planet. All these beautiful things that are going to happen when the ETs truly come in and make themselves known to us. The bad people who are all about the money and the greed and the power and the weaponizing and all of that, they don't want that to happen. But I am in that, woo-woo state of mind with my spiritual journey, because all of this went to an amazing spiritual journey. I do believe we are in the age of Aquarius, where we chose to incarnate on this planet at this time so that we can help humanity in this great shift that's going on. And it's not going to be easy, and it's not going to be and it's going to be scary at times. But if we can maintain that positive, love-based attitude where our mission is to help people and to serve, we're going to get through it with flying colors. Now, I have no idea when any of this is going to happen. It's supposed to start happening now, is happening now. But it's exciting. It's so exciting. And I'm so grateful. And I pinch myself, every day that I'm like a part of this, and that I'm able to deliver this information to people and watch this go down. It's like such an incredible honor. It's amazing.
Absolutely. Well, we are over our hour here, so I want to kind of, if you guys have any questions at all about the event or anything in general for my guest Melissa here, throw them in the comments. We'll get them in before we wrap things up. But tell everybody again where you can get tickets, all the information, when, where, why, all the stuff about your event coming up.
All right. Awesome. Well, the Contact Modalities Expo is May 1st through 3rd in Delavan, Wisconsin at Lake Lawn Resort. You can get all the information at contactmodalitiesxpo.com. We have our hotel block there. It's held at a big resort, so it's got, rooms on site, hotel block on site. We have multiple stages all going on at the same time. And we have our early bird discount happening right now through December 31st. So go check it out.
Very cool.
Barnaby, thank you so much. It was so much fun.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. What is your big takeaway? What do you want to leave people thinking about when we wrap up today?
I just want people to get what we talked about earlier about being open-minded. A lot of people that watch your show are interested in, the cryptids, especially, and of paranormal things. And I really hope they take the time to maybe peruse our website and check out some of these other amazing presenters that we have on there, because there's so many other avenues that might really intrigue them. And then everything just comes around, full circle. I feel that in doing this and looking at a lot of different New ways of thinking is very important, and it's just going to make your life better and our world better, period.
Pancho says, great show, everybody. Thank you, Mel, and hope to see you guys all in May. So there you go. We got
Awesome.
we got at least one
Pancho.
ticket sold for you. Come out and check out the sky watching event and stay up to date on all that stuff. So
Great. Thanks so much, Barnaby.
Absolutely. I look forward to chatting with you again, and I will definitely be seeing you in May.
Yes. Woo. Thanks.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys, that is our show for this week. Next week is pre-recorded. It is a very good show. Deidre Sanford is going to be on the show. We continue this it kind of feeds off this discussion as well. And again, you're going to have to tune in because I ask her what her blood type is. And it's a very interesting answer, and you're going to want to check that out. No spoilers there. But next week is pre-recorded, and then we're back live. And so I will see you in 2 weeks here live. Until then, guys, remember, we are all part of the paranormal spectrum. Take care, be well, and I'll see you next week.
You seem to know something I don't. What's going